with Epic or K-12 or one of these other online charter schools is that the school can do the testing to figure out what their child needs. That's the reasoning.
So they really don't have a clue what their child needs, but they want someone else to determine it.
Right. And so they're like, well, I can homeschool, but the programs.
Whoops, we're on.
Oh, crap.
Hi.
Somebody
Whoops.
just knocked on the door.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate it. You got something in the mail.
Yeah, it's wool dryer balls. I need to.
It's blueberry walls.
I
thought she said it was
wool dryer balls.
Oh,
Since we're online, we can open them up.
hey, sounds good to me. I can't believe that we were like,
How
did I hit that button? All right, do I even have eyebrows today? Yeah, I do. Okay. Good morning. It's the breakfast show.
It's the breakfast show.
It's the breakfast show.
It's the breakfast show.
It's the breakfast show. The more you learn, the more you know.
Now I feel like I'm on Sesame Street.
My name is the count. No. 1, 2, 3. No. Good morning, everybody. I'm like, I had actually set my alarm for like 4:30 in the morning. Dryer balls.
Dryer balls. I've been having people asking about them, so if you don't come by them, I'm going to be greatly offended. I'm kidding.
Actually, I was just sitting there thinking about dryer balls a couple of days ago.
Where are you?
Because, yeah, my dogs, I had a set of dryer balls, and my dogs like to play.
I think everybody needs 2 or 3 sets.
And so, yeah, and so I think somebody, and it wasn't me, was like playing pitch with them, and it wasn't me.
It was Lola.
No, they were playing with Lola, but it was the human that was doing that. And it wasn't me. And so we know who the other human is in my house. So you know it wasn't me, so it was that person. Whose name shall be unsaid.
Starts with a B.
And ends with an N. Woo! Dropped my pen. So, but yeah, so that was interesting. Actually, what we were talking about was yesterday on Alyeen's private page, personal page.
Yeah.
She posted this article about, and it has this kiddo in it.
Who's a senior in high school.
Senior in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So keep that in mind. Senior in high school.
His last year of school. This is it. Yeah.
Last year of school, and they arrest him, essentially.
Mm-hmm. There's a picture of him with where he's handcuffed to a wall.
Mm-hmm. Handcuffed to a wall. And he's got a little smirk on his face, and I know some people were making comments about that. And then, but one of the things that I looked at on here, I was like, yes, I know he's got a smirk. Mm-hmm. This kid was going to school. That's what he wanted to do. It's his senior year. I can't blame him.
Right.
Why can't we just call that a peaceful protest?
Why not?
Peaceful protest against homeschooling, you know, or having to school at home or whatever, you know, because it's not so much about the homeschooling. It's his senior year. He wants the experience. Why are we cutting that experience for that kid? I mean, that's the way I looked at it is so why are we telling Junior no?
Right.
You can't go to school. I mean, how many high school seniors, seriously, especially dudes, wake up and want to go to school in their senior year?
Yeah, not many.
Because I was sitting there thinking, I was lucky to get up and go to school some days.
I was lucky to stay in school my senior year.
Yeah, ooh, I was like, ooh, that was crazy on the hair. But, you know, well, and that was me. It was like I was out at 2 o'clock or 1:30 or something like that in the afternoon. And there were days that I was just like, I would rather go do something else. I was 18 my senior year. I won't say that I called in for myself, but there were some times I just didn't go to school and I didn't care that they called my mom. But I magically graduated 5th in my class.
Wow.
Of course, it was 60 students, right? But I graduated 5th in my class, and I had a really pretty decent GPA, and I'm like,
Hey, we have something in common. I graduated about 5th in my class too.
See?
From the bottom.
Oh.
That
from
was,
the top.
but
I
I
was
nearly
from the top,
Okay.
you know.
Let's see. We were both 5th. I mean,
You know, we were
this
both
way.
5th. We just didn't say where.
I
on
just
the
didn't
5th.
care. That was my
I was
thing.
like, so I have to commend this kid.
Yeah.
Would I have called 911 and had him arrested and all of that? Probably not.
No.
I would have probably said, you know what, you're only supposed to be in class on Mondays and Wednesdays, man. So if you're coming up on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you got to work in the principal's office.
There you go.
You know, you can help me there.
Right.
You know, or whatever.
Why are we not rewarding these kids for wanting an education?
Exactly. I'm like...
And there was some comments. Now I was very happy that all the comments on that post were very very nice.
Yeah, nobody was rude.
Nobody was rude or disrespectful or anything, you know. And I did agree with some people that the smirk in the picture made it look like, it made it appear that he was going ha 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 ha, you know, look what I did. And then somebody else actually looked up the actual news article and actually posted a copy of it, which was very interesting
Okay.
to read.
So
it
was he
a
smirking in that picture too?
No, there wasn't. She didn't show a picture. She just had,
Okay.
had the text of
You
it.
know.
So, I mean, yeah. I mean,
Find me a high school senior that isn't smirking. Okay, yeah, that's all I'm
was.
saying is I'm looking at it, and it's just kind of like when you look at the pictures, like after the day after a riot, one of the riots or peaceful protest, whatever they want to call them, and they'll have like 12 pictures in a collage of whoever they arrested the night before. I mean, there's some like smirks and crap in that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, a lot of times people, especially if they're in a really nervous kind of situation to that effect, a lot of us will laugh.
I'm a laugher when I'm nervous.
Laugh. Oh, yeah.
When I'm nervous, I
You
laugh.
know.
I'll either laugh or cry. There's no in between.
So, you know.
Yeah.
So I look at it like that, and I was like, so was this smirk more out of nervousness? Was this smirk more out of, yeah, I finally got your attention, that we have a problem here?
Yeah.
Was your, you know, what was it? What was the motivation? We really don't know. Because if you notice, like if you go on social media or even on the news or whatever, they're going, and they have a negative story,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to pick the most negative looking picture
That's right. They will.
of somebody to put in there, and then everybody's like, see what Bill Clinton looks like? You know, and it's like, that's
It's
just a
true,
crappy
yeah.
picture.
Yeah. It's the
You
truth.
find me, you know, because it could be the very next frame, it looks great.
Yeah.
You know, was it the lighting? Was it just that you caught me in the middle of doing what?
Yeah.
You know, and then so everybody assumes it's one thing or another, and we really don't pay attention to what's really going on or what was really the message through there.
Right. Right.
You know, it's kind of like, you know, when I'll go back to like the Antifa pictures, when they post those up after, you know, a weekend of rioting or whatever, they pick the most unattractive, offsetting pictures to post
Mm-hmm.
because they want you as the consumer, the person reading that, they want you to have a negative thought
Right.
about it. Just the same thing, you know, they'll do that with a picture of President Trump. We'll do that with Pelosi, you know, politicals, actors, actresses, everybody. They'll put in a crazy looking picture because they want to sell
Mm-hmm.
that they're a
Exactly.
crazy looking person or they're a crazy acting person.
They want to get your attention.
They want you to,
Yeah,
but they
just
want you to
want
also
you-
think negatively.
Right,
It's
yeah,
all about
yeah.
emotion
Oh, yeah.
and not about fact.
That's right. I mean, there's some control issues there, I think.
Yeah.
You know,
Was
they're
it
trying to
a
control
picture
the
says 1,000 words?
I was getting ready to say that.
Yeah.
A picture says 1,000 words, both negative and positive, right?
Mhm. Oh, definitely.
It can go either way.
So, what did you say about that face I just made? You know, and be like, she's acting like a ham. Yeah. And I'm like, peace, love, and harmony. You know, as I posted something yesterday on Twitter, And what I posted on Twitter was, and it's kind of like people have to start out with, people have poor boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to laugh when people talk about being woke or awakened or I'm an empath.
Right.
Blah, 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 blah. And they come in and they start talking trash about a particular group of people or a particular person. And I'm not even sure where my post came from, but it was in response to something. Oh, it was in response to a lady who, I want to say maybe she's a photographer. And she posted, she's a photographer. And she was working with a couple and their baby, and they were doing like the monthly pictures or whatever. And then all of a sudden the client found out that the photographer was a Trump supporter. And so then they fired him. Your work isn't good enough. And she was like, well, you loved my work for 6 months until you found out I was a Trump supporter.
Right.
And then, so what's the deal on that? And I said, oh, honey. I said, I've had clients, and there was a specific client that came in, and first thing she says to me is, I effing hate President Trump. So I'm like, okay. Orange man bad, okay, whatever, I don't say another word, I'm not saying a word about it. And during this session, we're doing a Reiki session, and normally people are quiet, but she spent the entire hour talking, I hate Trump, I hate Trump, I hate Trump. I hate Trump followers, they're pieces of garbage, they're lowlifes, they're scum of the earth. I'd never let them in, blah,
So
blah,
she wasted some money on that Reiki session,
for an entire hour. And then at the end of the hour, I just looked at her really calmly and I said, I voted for Trump. And I wasn't trying to pour salt on the wound. It was about the fact that you can love somebody and like that person, love that person. They can be your hairdresser, they can be your shoe salesman, they can be your Reiki healer, whatever. You're not liking me for who I vote for. You like me for me, or you love me for me.
That's right.
And so, anyway, so somebody, most people were in agreement with me, except for one person, and they claimed to be a Trump supporter and stuff, and she said, I would fire you. You would lose me as a client for that. And I'm like, rock on.
Mm-hmm.
I do not personally, and neither do you, anybody here, we do not have to take the abuses of other people.
That's right.
And that was verbal abuse.
Right.
And when you're, when you're sitting here and you're saying, I hate Trump supporters or I hate Biden supporters, rock on.
Yeah.
You don't,
Yeah.
you hate the idea, that they are supporting something that you are against. So love the person, hate the sin. Or love the person, hate the action.
That's right.
But you loved me before, and then as soon as you hear that I support a particular thing, you don't love me anymore? That you never loved me.
Right.
You never really liked me. You never really loved me.
Because you never took the time to understand me.
Or ask me, why do you support him? Because I've asked people, why do you support Joe Biden? And they'll say all the negative aspects or whatever of Trump. And I'm like sitting here like, but nobody answered my question.
Right. You just told me why you didn't support
Why you don't support Trump
or whoever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Because it could be about it could be OSU versus OU in football.
Yeah. So why do you hate OSU? And then you're telling me all the reasons why you like OU. Well, that's not what I asked. I asked, why do you hate OSU?
Well, it was because I posted something because it's elections up in 6 weeks or whatever, And so all of the politicians are posting and they're all writing about why not to vote for this other person. But nobody, except for like a handful, want to tell you why to vote for them.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so how do I know who to vote for? Because I have no clue of what your agenda
What's your
or what you're
agenda?
thinking.
What's your plans?
You know,
What are you going to do different?
The same thing, you look at it even in healthcare. You have 5 doctors, and all 5 doctors say that they're what kind of doctor? Oncologist. And you've got cancer of the big toe. Well, I don't want to go real deep into a cancer, because then I'm like, do I manifest that crap if I start talking about it?
I know my big toe's gonna
I can handle my big toe, all right? So you get cancer of the big toe, and you go to a doctor, and they say, well, I'm going to cure you. Okay, well, how are you going to cure me? Don't you want to know their game plan?
You don't want him to say, well, I'm not going to do what Dr. Smith does and what Dr. Jones does and what Dr. Yeah.
I'm kind of like, I want to know what's the game plan.
Yeah.
So if I'm electing you, if I'm hiring you, if I'm going to use you as my physician or my teacher or my healer or whatever, what are you going to bring to the table? What do you bring?
Yeah.
Because people need a good a case of mind your own business. Oh, so true. So true. It's just like, instead of screaming at the person in the store because they don't have a mask on, you can say, how can I help you? I see you don't have a mask on. Do you have COPD? I don't know. Well, I wouldn't do that. Personally, I don't ask anybody why they do or don't have a mask on.
It's none of my business. That's the way I look at it. So I drive for Uber. Maybe I shouldn't say this. I drive for Uber and Lyft, and I have passengers that get in and say, do I have to wear a mask? I said, I'm not your mother. That's what I tell them. I'm not your mother.
I'm not your mother,
Yeah, the rules say you have to wear a mask. Uber says you have to wear a mask.
But
I'm not your mother. So I'm not going to tell you what to do.
Well, I can't even remember who it was that posted. Maybe it was the federal government. I don't know. And it was something about the mask. And they were like, do not argue with people if they don't have their mask on. And they were trying to put it like people that don't wear a mask, that we're all violent. And I'm kind of like, if you looked at me and said, please put a mask on, I'll probably go in my pocket and pull out my mask and put it on.
Yeah. I'm the same way.
I'm not going to argue with you about wearing it or not wearing it, but, it's kind of like if somebody doesn't have it on, instead of making a big deal about it, it could be 1,000 reasons why. It can be COPD, it can be thrush, it can be that they were a victim of rape or, kidnapping or whatever, and that they've been gagged for days and nobody wants to, I'm kind of like,
you don't know.
You don't know. Is it your place? Is it my place? Is it anybody's place to really say something about it? And I was like, but when you get CDC telling you 15 different stories, I'm like, I don't even think they know if they're supposed to wear a mask or not wear a mask.
Well, and the whole thing of even the box that when you buy a box of masks, it even says.
Yeah.
It does not prevent.
So, it's kind of like, in many ways, I've kind of washed my hands of that stuff, and I carry one in my pocket. If you're going to hassle me for it, I'm going to pop it on and just go on my way. And then after I pay for my purchases, this is what I have been doing. So I pay for my purchase, and I put my hands on my card or whatever. I've got my hands, I'll go right in front of the cash register, and I'll take it off, and I'll put it in my pocket and walk off. So that's my silent protest.
Yeah.
My protest is because I've been in several stores and the staff members have their masks down.
Here or right here, and it's like, why are you even wearing it?
Or their nose is hanging out over it, and I'm kind of like, okay, so it's a fashion statement. We're just trying to keep the Karens quiet, whatever it is. I think we as a society have kind of, on it for the most part.
And I think a lot of people are kind of fed up because, if you go to Walmart, we went to Walmart the other day, both entrances were open and it was no longer roped off. They were still obviously encouraging people to go in the indoor and out the outdoor.
Cool.
You know, makes sense. I mean, that's why they put them that way to begin with, right?
Mhm.
Is to help control the flow of traffic. So, I mean, that makes sense, right? You came across something that had been reinstated financially recently.
Oh,
that-
yeah.
That was stopped. I noticed that Uber.
Business loans.
Yeah, Uber and Lyft have quit doing as many surges. A surge is when there's not very many drivers in an area, and it lights up on your phone saying like it's red or yellow or whatever. It's like if you drive to this area, you're going to get an extra $4 on your next ride. Those aren't happening as often, but they have reinstated what they call their quest and their bonuses,
Mm-hmm.
where they hadn't been doing those. And so, and there was something else I noticed yesterday. I don't remember what it was. Same sort of thing though, that had stopped when COVID came into fruition, and now it's back to the way it was. So, you know, I think people, for the most part, are just over it. I had posted in our neighborhood Facebook group about asking, is Halloween canceled this year? You know, can we do Halloween? I don't know.
They all have masks on. What the hell? I'm like,
And so, boy, there was, and I've left it. A lot of times when a post gets contentious, I'll delete it because I don't want that kind of contention on my space. And I feel like my Facebook page is my space, and so I don't like that contention. So, but I've left it anyway because it's on the neighborhood Facebook page, and you would not believe the wide range.
don't be ringing on my door.
My light won't be on. Okay, fine.
No, and I was, to be honest, my light hadn't been on in a long time.
Your light's not on and nobody's home.
I normally place a bowl with some candy out there, and it's normally empty by the time I get back. So I'm like, hey, that's cool with me. And I'll probably do the same thing this year. But I don't have trick-or-treating age children anymore. And to be honest, I don't even remember if my grandkids, the ones that live here in the city, I don't even know. I'm like, do they even trick-or-treat?
Yeah.
You know?
So we have 2 schools really close to our house, so 3 schools actually. And we tend to have quite a few kids in that neighborhood, but we get several teenagers that come by, it seems.
Oh yeah,
So,
shoot, you're never
like,
too old to trick-or-treat.
Teenagers can come by. I'm gonna have an extra bowl of candy for them.
Let's see. Heather, you have an amazing day too. You must be on your way to work. I'm going to rearrange my schedule so I can come and see you on a Wednesday and get my hair done. Heather is my cutter. She cuts my hair and she does my chemicals.
Cool.
Yeah. And you know what I'm funny about my hair?
Yeah.
Because for years I had the football helmet hairdo.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I would go and get my hair done, I would come out and it would look like I had a football helmet on and I was like a 50-year-old mom. And now that I'm like over 50, I'm like, I will never wear a helmet, football helmet hairdo.
So I hit 50 and I kind of went funky, so I don't know. I've never done anything like this before, so.
Well, I've been kind of thinking about putting some color onto it, and I thought, wouldn't it be cool, that gray look or that silver look? And then I'm like, no, that's hard work. So I think what I have been thinking about is doing like the ombre on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Because then I would be, but then it always looks like you colored your hair and you grew it. And you're too lazy to cut the
If you get somebody
ends.
that does it good, it doesn't look like that.
Yeah.
Usually.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I don't know. I've been kind of thinking about some, kind of doing some different stuff with it. But Heather is who I trust with scissors.
Cool.
Because I'm really funny about that.
Well, it's like, I don't know, hairstylists, to me, it's important that you find somebody that you really trust. I mean, what does the Bible say about our hair?
It's our crown. It's our
crown.
glory,
Yeah. And so, I mean, you better find somebody that you absolutely trust. If that's your crown and your glory,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
you wouldn't give your royal jewels to just anybody walking down the street.
Heck no.
I mean, so, these are my jewels. So, That didn't sound right.
So, I know, as I'm over here going, some people would give their royal jewels to anybody on the street. We wouldn't, but, you know. And I was like, we don't have those kind of jewels, do we?
No.
Does Alyeen need to tell me something?
No. We're all good.
Does Brent need to tell me something?
He might. I don't know.
Hermaphrodite. No, just kidding. No. That was not cool. Yeah. She can punch me in the arm on that one.
I'm not gonna punch her in the
But
arm.
yeah,
It's
I
all
was
good.
like, technically women do not have, well, shoot, we're going to end
It's
up
having
in
an
another
anatomy class
mess
again.
But technically women do not have family jewels. Technically. I know that you can change my mind and have all these other things to say about that, but yeah. Anyway.
Next topic.
Next stop. Yeah.
We digressed. Okay.
So I went on a road trip yesterday, and I went to. Well, I had to go get my tags. We're Wichita. We're we're natives, so we had to go get our tags on our vehicles, and we about cry when we get there because it says you're supposed to have an appointment, and we're like, my husband's out there. We came up from the city. We need to get the tags on our car. My husband talks with like an Okie accent. He's Native American, but he talks like this.
I don't know how much I've ever really heard him talk.
I know, he doesn't talk that much. We came from the city. And I was like, I have my mask on, I'm looking down, and I'm like, it's usually the other way around. We came from the country. You know? So, anyway, she let us get our tags, so we got our tags. And my brother-in-law, Kyle, the one they call Honeybee, owns a dispensary. It's at 1302 East Central in Anadarko. It's right on the east side of the hospital. And I went, how appropriate.
That's right.
You know,
I love that.
you can either do allopathic or you can do natural.
Or you
know.
can get hurt and stop by the dispensary on your way home instead of filling the pain meds.
Well, there's another building that's on the other side of the dispensary, and I'm like, dude, find out about that building. Maybe I can put a clinic in.
Now, that would be cool. That would be way cool.
So we would have clinic, dispensary, and then you have the hospital.
I love it.
So you can either choose us or the hospital. I don't know, but
And then
or
the
the
middle ground is the dispensary.
So I go to the dispensary, and he's got these things that are called glazy. And
It's like a slushy, isn't it?
it's like a slushy, and it's better than a slushy. I'm going to say this. It is the first time I have had a cannabis or a THC infused product, and it didn't taste like I was eating leaves.
Mm-hmm.
It was phenomenal. In fact, I wouldn't let anybody share. I'm like holding on to it. It's good, Kyle. But, I've had some horrific hip pain lately. I have scoliosis, and it's time for a raindrop, and I'm too lazy to lay down on the table. I'm like, do I have time to lay down and get do I have it in my calendar? And so, needless to say, I've been pain-free.
That's good.
And that's what was important. Needless to say, I did take a good nap yesterday, too.
Cool.
But, yeah, I drank the whole thing.
I know where to get them locally, by the way.
Oh, really? They were delish. So if you're in Caddo County, Grady County, Caddo County, I want you to run over there to Anadarko, and you tell Kyle, or Honeybee, as y'all might know him, that his sister-in-law Maris sent you over. Yes, I want him to. He laughs at me because I'm like, dude, let me do a commercial for you. And he's like, and I'm like, dude, let me do a commercial for you. And he's like, and I looked at him and I said, Kyle, I said, sometimes my videos have 10,000 views. You don't even have a Facebook page. And he looked at me and he said, they said I violated the terms of whatever.
He was thrown into permanent Facebook jail.
Yeah, because he was posting cannabis, and I'm kind of like,
What? See, and somebody had told me that you can't have a cannabis Facebook page, but they're all over the
they're all
place.
over the place.
You just picking your favorites?
I was like,
Or the
Yeah, that's
cannabis page is like paying for their space. I don't know. Anyway, whatever.
you know, so I'm like, whoa. I was like, there's lots of them. So I'm like over here like, okay. So I was like, well, so I guess I have to be Kyle's commercials.
There you go.
So, you know, this is for the Beehive, you know.
Mm-hmm. I love the name though.
Isn't that cool?
I love
Beehive,
it.
yeah.
When I saw that, I was like, oh wow, where's she at? That's cool.
Well, I was like, to be honest with you, I really don't know why they call him Honeybee.
Really?
I don't know. So I have to figure out, I guess because he stings like a bee. I don't know. I'm thinking of like Muhammad Ali type thing, but
float like a butterfly, sting
sting
like a bee.
you know. So I was like, so are Kyle's words coarse? No, I was like, no. He's actually probably, out of all of my brother-in-laws, he's probably the nicest. He's probably the nicest. Okay, anyway.
Is he nicer than Brandon? I'm sorry, that was a bad question
Yes.
to ask.
Yes. He's
Yeah,
nicer
this
than
is-
Brandon. Brandon is an awful lot like me, as in, if you're close to us, we call it like we see it.
Mhm.
And so sometimes people will look at it like we are being hateful or we're being mean. And I'll just say, so, you know, I confronted an addict about their behaviors.
Mhm.
And I set boundaries and guidelines to it, and they walked off. Maris is such a bitch. And that was exactly, but they called me by people call me Linda. And they were like, she's such a bitch. And I mean, it was like everybody in the family decided to hate me without even knowing me.
Right.
Or knowing who I am based on something else. And then years later, they came back, and that person, they said, you were the only person that was ever truthful with me. And I was like, man, I love the person, I just don't like your behavior.
Yeah.
And when your behaviors overstep a boundary and affect other people and their safety and security and happiness, then somebody has to be an advocate and say something.
Somebody has to say something. I think that's true in everyday life, though, also. Is like, how do you expect to grow and improve and become a better person if the people that you're closest to can't give you constructive criticism?
Exactly.
You know, I mean, that's just that's been a hard lesson I've had to learn over the last few years. So, because I used to be, they don't like me, so I'm leaving now because they, didn't like what I did, so they don't like me at all. So I'm never going to talk to them again because I don't want to be a toxic person in their life. That was my thought process.
And I'm kind of like, I think that when people actually reach out and say, hey, you're screwing up, or you're, whatever way the conversation goes.
Well,
I don't think it's to be hateful and to say I don't effing want you in my life.
Yeah.
I think it's I love you enough as a human to be honest with you and tell you what you're doing is not cool.
Well, and sometimes you don't know it. You don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. So, I did something last week and you said something to me about it. I didn't realize I was being a problem, until you brought it to my attention. I was like, oh yeah, I guess that was kind of distracted. And apologize and move on. And, that's,
And on that, and it's like, in my heart, I was like, I know she's just not over here doing this. Let me just say, this is how I like these things to work.
Right.
In my case, this is how I want, if it's my, whatever, this is how I do it, this is why, or whatever on that. But the same thing is, if your coworker's doing this crap all day long and all you're hearing is pound, 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 it's okay to turn around and go, man, I see that you're nervous about something, or you have something in your spirit, something in your aura. can you take that down the road or whatever?
Yeah,
That's okay.
Do you need to talk?
Do you need to talk?
Do you need, what can I do to help? Or,
Instead of turning around and go, quit doing that crap! Shut it off!
Right.
I think, and the one thing that I learned about social media, and I posted this a couple of times, is I had originally done that one tweet that I started out with telling you about the client, and at the end I told him I voted for Trump. And I posted that, and then I wrote on my Facebook, a little intro to it, and I did some apologies, because I was like, I know that I've offended people intentionally and unintentionally, and I'm sorry for my choices, I apologize for that. If you would like to discuss it, private message me. Do not post our business on the public thing. Not one person has personal messaged me.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, because the last time I had said something that was semi-controversial, I had people slamming the shit out of me and unfriending me or what, telling me why they unfriended me and then unfriended me. And I'm kind of like, oh, did it make you feel better to slam me? Did that make you feel good?
Mm-hmm.
And you know who I'm talking to? Did that make you feel so much better and that the whole issue was resolved? So that was why when I apologized,
Mm-hmm.
I wrote, private message me and let's talk about it. And then when I apologized, I said, if you want to talk about it, private message me.
I just don't. Everybody's different. Everybody has different experiences. Everybody's raised differently. You've been raised by a set of parents of some sort or fashion, or maybe you weren't. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Throughout your life, you've formed your own viewpoints and your own opinions, and right, wrong, or indifferent, it doesn't matter. We need to be respectful of how people feel and think and their opinions.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's like, you go back to what you said, love the sin, or what is it, love the sinner, love the sin, or hate the sin.
Yeah, love the person, hate the sin, or hate the transgression, or action,
whatever,
behavior,
yeah,
whatever.
I don't understand these people that are contentious and hateful, and especially on Facebook,
No.
You do a post and somebody's like,
and I'm going to say this for myself on here, is that there's been plenty of times, and it's never been people that I truly know.
mm-hmm.
Like no. And I will pop off something really crazy over on Facebook, or more on Twitter, less on Facebook. On Twitter, it's kind of like there's no whole, there are no rules,
Yeah.
And I know, and then I was like, man, I'm feeling hateful all the time. I don't like the way that feels.
Yeah.
So I started to really kind of incorporate the 5 precepts of Reiki. And it's like, do not be angry, do not worry, be grateful, be nice.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh hell, I gotta be nice now on Twitter. So before I do my precepts, I say all of my garbage. But I mean, and that was the one thing, and it was in there, was that I realized that I myself was saying hateful things. I would call, particular politicians on their page. I would tell them, you're such a stupid bitch, and things like that. And then I was like, oh my gosh. So the very same thing that I'm getting mad about people doing to me, I'm doing.
Right.
So that's why, I did my apologies and said, I'm sorry. That sucked to do that. It took me 3 weeks to get the courage to write that.
I believe it.
Nobody wants to have to say, I'm sorry.
No.
That's
admitting that you've done something wrong, but we all do. I mean, it's human nature. We all make
sucked.
mistakes. Let's just...
It sucked.
It sucked.
It sucked. But I think I was more bummed out then nobody's direct messaged me.
Right.
To go, okay, I forgive you, or
Right.
what are you talking
Clear
about?
the air. I mean, whatever, yeah.
Or, yeah, you did this and it hurt my feelings. Just, hey, thank you for at least, I don't think you woke up that day saying, hey, I'm going to piss, Maris wants to piss me off, because it was never that.
Yeah.
It was, and usually it was about establishing my boundary. I think that one of the things that I had said when people, the first time, and it had to do with the rioting and Black Lives Matters and all of that stuff. And I gave my opinion and my stance on it, and everybody was like, I didn't know you were that kind of person. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm kind of like, I've always been that kind of person about being respectful of other people's properties and
Right.
etc. And I was like, so you obviously never listened to what was coming out of here.
Yeah.
And I was like, because I don't think that maybe I wasn't as loud about it or whatever, but I still stand by the fact that I don't agree with the protest, and I don't agree with the rioting, and I don't agree with the looting. You're messing with things that don't belong to you.
Yeah.
Go home and burn your own house down.
Yeah.
I
I
guess,
didn't care who you are, but that's not cool.
it was like, what was I guess in the last couple of days, since Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg transitioned, and they're talking about, well, if he if he nominates and they whatever, we're going to burn this down, and it's like public figures saying stuff like that, and I'm kind of like over here, not good, that's just not good vibration. You're held accountable for the vibration that you send out. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
On that.
Yeah.
So it's like I can't be a part of something that wants to hurt and destroy others out of their own anger.
Right. I agree.
If you're angry about the way things are, do something about it in a positive, constructive way and bring that. So it's like if we're angry about allopathic care or whatever, provide an alternative that's safe.
That's right. Well, and if you can work out of care and concern, you're going to be listened to more readily than if you're up there being, I demand this to happen now. It's not, if you can talk and have an actual conversation about the issues at hand without slinging mud and being hateful, then you're more likely to be heard.
I look at it like this. Look at Martin Luther King Jr. Okay, I know he had some scandals and stuff going on in his personal life, and that's not even what I'm not even focusing on that crap. What I'm looking at, that man made an effort, made choice to use his voice in a very appropriate way, in order to fight for civil rights and for equality. And I was like, and we're still quoting him 40 years later.
Right.
He's still, he's very much alive and vibrant 40 years later, even though he's died.
Right.
On that. That makes so much more sense than focusing, there's not one person I could really quote today and say they're making a difference.
Right. 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 Well, and I've never understood from the time I was old enough to be involved voting or whatever. I have never understood why people is like, oh, I'm not voting for him because he did XYZ when he was like 19 years old. Well,
I did a lot of crazy stuff
I did a lot
at
of crazy
19.
stuff at 17 and 18, not so much at 19, but because I was having my first baby at 19 and I was married, so I was, settled down, starting to settle down. My husband had his hands full. But why are we, I I don't know. I just never have understood why the personal lives matter so much when people are trying to fix the public.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
I mean, I'm just.
If they're 49 years old and they did some craziness at 19 and they haven't done that craziness from 19 to 49, why are we focusing on what they did at 19?
That's right. I mean, it's like saying, whoa, but they got a tattoo when they were 19, and you know what that tattoo says? You know where they got it?
On their hoo-ha.
Right.
You
I
know.
mean, who cares at this point? They may have great regrets at that point, or maybe they don't. Maybe they're like, that was a life lesson, and this is what I learned from it, you know?
Every day I look at that tattoo, I'll go, never again. You know.
But seriously, I mean, we all have life lessons. We all have things that we have to learn. So if we have a politician running for office, or whoever it is, whatever it is, and we look at what happened in their past, let's take this a step further. What about the drug addict who recovers and decides they want to go back to school to become a therapist to help other drug addicts?
That's usually how it works.
Would you hire that therapist
Yes.
for your child who has a drug addiction? Or would you say, whoa, no, they had a drug addiction, so I don't want them working with my child who has a drug addiction?
No, because they understand.
Because they understand.
Okay, and I'm going to throw my little 2 cents in here. And this is like one of the things that I always questioned at the Catholic Church. Now, and I never had anybody like ever say anything to me about it. But my question, you know, like they would have like the pre-marriage classes and things to that effect, taught by a nun. Okay?
Oh, she knows a lot about marriage.
And I'm like, she has the easiest husband ever. His name is Jesus Christ. He's never, I mean, he's around, but I mean, do you have to pick up his dirty socks? No, you know.
Do you have to train him to the toilet paper goes over and not under?
You know,
Do you have to train him to put the toilet seat down?
You know, or don't squeeze the toothpaste from the middle, but from the bottom. You know, I'm kind of like, I was like, Jesus is a great husband. He really is, you know, don't get me wrong. He's a good husband, you know. I like being a bride of Christ there. But then I would just sit there and I'd go, and so how do you tell Jesus you don't want to have sex? And I'm like, over here, and I'm like, why do we have, you know, they're either not experienced, and that's really what I was alluding to, is that if I had a substance abuse, or my child had a substance abuse problem, and they're going to go and see a counselor or whatever that's never experienced for themselves substance addiction, how do they really understand or know where we're coming from?
Right.
You know, so again, why, you know, and I'm like, not knocking the Catholic Church, but don't have a nun teach marriage classes. They have the easiest husband ever.
Right. That
You
doesn't
know,
make any sense.
I'm like,
I mean, find your most successful parishioner that has a good marriage, and they would be a better source for teaching a marriage class than,
exactly.
even if they didn't have any professional training in the arena, they would be better at it than none, I would think.
You know, when I went to the Baptist, you know, because
Maybe I'm going to hell now.
No, you're not going to hell. 'Cause, you
I don't
know. When my husband and I got married, I had to convert to being Baptist for him.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that like flipped me out over there was, you know, I'm used to having classes to teach you how to be or how to practice within that faith. And so I'm like, so where are the Baptist classes, you know? And they're looking at me like, what? And I go, well, where are the classes, you know, where do I enroll for the classes to learn how to be a Baptist? Oh, we just go to Sunday school. Okay. So, you know, I'm excited. I make my husband go to Sunday school with me. And I have no clue about being a Baptist from going to Sunday school. But I can tell you this, casinos are bad. They're bad, bad, bad. Casinos are bad. Only bad people go to casinos, but that's why he worked there. And I'm just like, what does this have to do with the Baptist faith? What does it actually say? What constitutes the Baptist faith? What are the tenets? What are the practices? What is the little house? Which, I still have no clue of what the little house at the very front of the church is about.
I've never, What is
that
about?
And you put money in the house or something. I don't know even what you're really doing over there. And nobody could even answer that question for me when I asked.
Interesting.
So, needless to say, I'm no longer Baptist. I'm just Christian, just a Jesus girl.
There you go. There you go. People have a hard time understanding me because we all know that I'm
Latter-day Saint.
Yes.
That's a fancy word for Mormon.
The church likes us to say we are from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints because Mormon was a derogative term that was used back in the 1800s to describe the members. And so
Really?
So they're trying to get away from the term Mormon.
I could have swore that I have a Bible that says Mormon Bible on it.
It says Book of Mormon on it.
Or Book of Mormon.
Because Mormon was a prophet in the scriptures in the Book of Mormon.
Uh-huh.
So that was his name. So that's why they came up with the name Mormon to describe the members of the church.
I was like, is that Norman's twin? I was like, I don't want to be disrespectful.
But people don't understand when I'm like, you know what? I'm cool with you. I'm cool with you. I'm cool with you. I'm cool with anybody. You're Catholic? Tell me about it. You're Baptist? Tell me about it. You're Pentecostal? Tell me about it. I don't care.
I'm always
because
interested.
I look at the person, not.
I'm always interested.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Well, because we have a stereotype thought about Buddhist. All right, so you say Buddhist, what does everybody think?
Weird.
Ding, 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 ding.
Right,
Don't kill the bug.
Right?
I only eat grass, I mean, technically that's what I'm thinking of is, it's like they listen to bing, bing, bing music all day. And
then
their hands
the
are
gong.
like this.
I always think of a big gong.
The men are bald. I just have,
They wear gunny sack dresses.
So, I have Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, whatever. So I have this this concept about Buddhist. And then I'm reading, and they're talking about, like, ninja Buddhists that murder. And I'm like, what?
What?
They killed in the name of the Dalai Lama, whatever, threw on there. And then, or when you read that some particular actor is Buddhist, and he's like a whore dog, and I'm like, okay,
It's confusing.
That's confusing.
Very confusing.
But I think, was it Craig Groeschel from Life Church talks about one of his most favorite Christians ever was a waiter, his favorite waiter at his favorite restaurant. And he said, regardless, that they always wanted to be in that guy's section, and they would request that section, and he loves that guy, and I guess the guy's got tattoos and all this other stuff, and he drops the F-bombs all the time. So people go, he can't be very Christian if he's talking like that. And I'm like, sometimes Christians come in the forms of F-bombs and tattoos.
Those are I have to say that those are some of my favorite, people, no matter what the denomination, if you're Christian, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Those people are some of my favorite people. The tattooed up, changed my life, went through hell type people,
and they're so, and as in their characteristics of who they are and what they do and what they bring to the table is amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. A lot of us, myself included, I might see a big old thing, a bunch of bikers, and they're a lot bigger than me, and they got big motorcycles, and they're loud, and they got leather and boots and all of this on, and they go, look
And
to
they
them.
ride for Jesus.
And they ride for Jesus,
Love
or I love the guys that do it for like children that have been abused, and the child, to help with child trafficking awareness. I'm like, those are my gente, those are my people. That's God's true people. Just because you're sitting in the pulpit or sitting in the pew going, that's bad, and you're not doing anything about it, you're not living your faith. You're an armchair or whatever.
If you're doing that's bad and throwing a few coins in the plate and moving on, then do some research at least.
Oh, yeah.
Understand it. Figure out what you're supporting when you're throwing those coins in the bowl.
Exactly. What's the message that you're bringing? Just because you go and sit in the pew for an hour and a half on a Sunday morning doesn't mean that you're a Christian 7 days a week.
Right. I heard a preacher on the radio one time, and he had a message that just really kind of hit home that I've hung on to for years and years and years. But he was talking about how we judge people, and on both ends. So if you're coming back to Christianity, you're coming back to church, and you walk into that, whatever you call it, we call it a chapel, sanctuary, whatever, and you're coming back, and you walk in, you're tattooed up, you're ratted hair, whatever, and you walk in and you look at all those people and think, I don't belong here because all of those people are good Christians. They're sitting here, they're going to church. The thing is that they had to go through some sort of something to get to where they are also. Or maybe they're not even there yet. Maybe that's the only reason why they go, is to get to that point. And then on the other hand, when you flip that around, as good Christians, as good people, when that person walks through the door in a tattered t-shirt and jeans and tennis shoes and dirty and tattooed and whatever it is, smelling like alcohol, and they walk into that sanctuary, it's our job to make sure that they feel welcomed.
That reminds me, the minute you said that reminds me of there was a preacher or a pastor of a church, and he was transitioning in to that church, and so it was like a guest speaker or whatever was a guest pastor was doing the last one. So this new pastor shows up, and he's wearing tattered clothes, and he's dirty, and he's smelly, and he's unkept looking and everything, and he sits there. Actually, I think they made him sit like at the back of the church and all this other stuff, and then they went to go and introduce them, and he stood up and walked up to the front to the pulpit.
Wow.
I always have in the back of my head, I have this little thing, about entertaining angels, and it's like you really never know who that person is.
Did you grow up with a mama who always said, clean your room, you never know when Jesus is coming?
No.
My mother used to say that to me all the time. We need to clean this house up. We don't know when Jesus is walking through that front door.
No, my mom did not know. My mom was not. And I said, but what my mother would say, hey, Janine, how are you? What my mother would say was, make sure when we were leaving the house, make sure you clean your underwear. Or
make sure you're wearing
change your underwear. You don't want to have a car accident in dirty underwear. I'm over, like,
what? Is that going to make the injuries worse? Oh my God. I remember that one too.
I would just be like, what is she saying to me? My mother was kind of strange on some aspects, but yeah, that was her line was.
Yeah, I remember hearing that one too.
Yeah, she didn't do the clean the house because you never know when Jesus is coming. I don't think that they focus so much on the second coming of Christ.
Yeah.
They probably sat back and went, not in my lifetime, it won't happen. Hey.
You never know.
You never know.
You never know.
Because Christ can show up in any old way.
I picked up a beautiful little old lady yesterday at Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
And she could not lift her. I don't even know how she got that pallet of water on that little cart, to be honest. But I had to lift it for her, put it in the trunk of the car, and then when I got her home, I had to take all of her groceries out of the car for her. I don't even know how she did it. I really don't know how she did it. But she was the sweetest little old lady. And I'm just going. I started out going, oh great, this is gonna take forever. And I got a second rider while she was still in the car, and I'm thinking, oh, this rider is going to be angry now because I'm stopped and not going anywhere. And I kept going, what would Jesus do? What would Jesus do? What would
Jesus
do?
would draw, I'd ride on, baby.
So I took care of her, but she's a sweet old lady.
No,
She's adorable.
that's pretty cool, but I'm kind of like, how in the heck did she get all that stuff loaded up?
I have no idea. And before she would even get in the car at Walmart, she had to show me and one of the Walmart workers, her legs were like swollen tight because she was on like water pills, probably Lasix or something, you know, and so it's just very blunt. It was hilarious. Just
My legs hurt.
My legs hurt and I just pee all the time. I'm sorry if I smell bad. I was just like, wow, okay.
Love you, Grandma. You know.
She was cute though.
Oh no, that's
cute.
sweet. That is really, really sweet. That's really. I was just sitting there thinking. I read an article. Was some post, and I guess some lady was upset. No, it wasn't a lady. It was a gentleman. Is posting, and he writes that his son wrote him a text message or email or whatever, something along the lines of, if you continue to vote for President Trump, you will lose your son, meaning him, and no longer be able to see your grandchildren.
What?
And all I could think of on that one was like, wow, let's play some guilt here. But I'm like, so if anybody needs a granny that's red-pilled, I'm a red-pill granny. I'll be your granny. I'll be your mama.
There you go.
Can't be your daddy, but I'll be your mama.
And if any of my kids decide they want to pull some of that garbage with me, you got another thing coming.
I was like, they'd be like, man, if you're going to vote for Joe Biden, don't come knocking on my door. But, you know, I'm like, I could care less who you vote for. Just vote.
Just vote.
Yeah, your voice is important, and I think that a lot of people are hesitant about voting sometimes because they don't think their voice is important, or that their voice counts, or that their vote counts. And I'm like, every vote counts. Every vote counts, and every voice is needed.
So, question.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook keeps, and somebody else posed this question, and I was like, what? Facebook keeps going, have you registered to vote? You can register here.
Don't register there.
That's what I'm thinking. Don't do it. Really?
Go to the post office, go to the DMV, go to the tag agency. Actually, the
Go down to the election board.
Go down to the electric
board.
not the electric, the election, yeah. She says the election board. But vote. Vote, 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 vote. Get with Scott Pressler, the persistence. The persistence. But Scott Pressler, SCOTT, Pressler, PRESLER. He's on Facebook, he's on Twitter, he's probably on Instagram too. Scott will point you in the direction of somebody that can help you vote or help you register to vote. And even though he is a very big Trump supporter, you know, Scott's so loving. In fact, I kind of try to model myself with him by his standards a lot. Scott's just a very loving, kind, gentle person. He'll be like, that's not good. And you're like, Scott's mad, you know. You riled Scott's feathers up, but, you know, he's just a very loving guy, and just, he'll help anybody, you know, he'll help anybody.
That's cool.
So, you know, it's like, but yeah, your voice is important, and use your voice. Your vote is important, so use your vote. Get out there and vote, vote, vote. You know, whether it's a school election, your city election for mayor, your county for county commissioners or sheriff or whatever, your state, your federal, we are important to this nation, and we're important to each other. And to be able to express yourselves through your votes, very important.
Yep.
Are you registered to vote? I'm not. No, just kidding. You're like, why is she going on that
I need
spiel?
to check mine because I need to make sure that I am.
Well, and
I need to double check.
You know what's really bizarre on that is, we do need to do that because somebody was saying that you have to register every X amount of years or whatever.
Well, with us moving and stuff, I was pretty sure I had updated it, but I just need to double check.
Yeah.
Just so that I don't want to go to the polling place on election day and find out that I'm not.
Your vote doesn't count because you're not registered. Yeah. So, and I was like, but everybody's vote counts.
Are we doing mail-ins this year?
I believe in absentee ballots and I believe in voting in person. I do not believe in voting by mail.
I like that.
And I'll tell you, it has been established and proven that not all mail carriers have integrity.
Yep.
And
Mine
so,
is one of them, evidently.
And so with that in mind, I wouldn't. I mean, would you put cash in the mail?
No.
Would you put cash in the mail? I wouldn't put cash in the mail. So if you wouldn't put cash in the mail, don't vote by mail.
Do you remember the days of getting birthday cards in the mail with $5 in them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that these days.
Mm-mm. I did. I sent. I actually, my daughter and one of my daughters, they needed money for something, and so they asked me, and they were like, "Well, send it on a Cash App," and I went, "Hell no, I don't do Cash Apps. I'm over there going, China's watching me, I'm not going to do a Cash App." So I told her, I said, no. I said, I had given her a method, and they were like, they didn't have it or whatever. So I put it in the mail. And they were like, it took a long time. But they got it.
2 days, 3 days?
Well, it was like, how often do you check your mailbox? Well, once a week. Okay. They were upset. One was upset because I wouldn't do it by Cash App. And I'm like, I don't use Cash Apps. Yeah. Somebody asked me, do you use Venmo? And I'm like, what's Venmo?
Venmo is kind of like Cash App.
Okay, well, then no, I don't use it. I don't even use PayPal. I mean, I really, if I have to use PayPal, I'm like, the whole time I'm using it.
Right.
I was like, no, I'd much rather not use something to that effect. I don't think that's a really, I don't know.
I do stock trading, penny trading, day trading, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Penny stocks with Cash App. So I do my stock trading with Cash App.
China knows what she's doing now.
Maybe.
They're going, American Alyeen, she's depositing lots of pennies.
Yeah, we lost a lot of pennies too. A couple
Penny
weeks ago.
saved is a penny earned.
I had a stock that I've been watching this company for a long time, and in keeping up with them, reading articles about what they're doing and stuff. And so I'm like, this company's going somewhere. I swear it is. It's gonna bounce back after all this. After the election year, this is gonna bounce back. And it's oil and gas, so where it's at right now. They did a 75-to-1 reverse split.
So your one stock turned into 75.
No, the other way around.
Oh.
I had 100 stocks in this company.
So it went down to 1
point something, yeah.
Did the
Lost
price?
a lot of money on that one. I say a lot. I mean, I was buying those stocks at
a penny a piece.
No, they weren't a penny a piece. But these stocks were. I don't know why they call those penny stocks, but anyway, because I mean, you can buy Tesla. I have a little bit of Tesla. I have some Tesla.
Oh well,
stock.
I have a crush on Elon Musk.
I have some
Amazon.
Okay, I have some Amazon stock also. So, but this stock did a reverse split. Well, so I opened up one night to check because I check every few days and look at it. I'm not like one of these crazy people that like sits there and watches it for hours on end, but so I check every few days just to see what it's doing and whatever. So I was getting ready for bed. I think I'd been out driving that night. Opened it up and I'm like, what? I had like $1,800. All of a sudden, I'm like, what the heck happened?
Did you
And I'm like
cash out?
going, I need to cash out. I need to cash out. I'm not waiting, you know? And so I'm like scrolling around looking at the history and going, what has happened? What has happened? Those are trade frees because they were doing that split. So when I have screenshots. Yeah, I know. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I have screenshots. I'm like waking my husband up screaming, my stock just went 10 times at least. And he's like, what? And I'm like sitting here going, I'm gonna cash out. I'm just gonna cash out. I'm not playing games now, you know. And then it wouldn't let me cash out. I was upset. So the next morning I woke up and had a loss of like $40.
So you're now at 1760.
1760.
Oh, never mind. Okay, yeah.
I'd lost $40 when they did after they did the split.
You know, James Woods
I was so negative.
is a Hollywood actor, and he said that after 9/11, he took all of his cash and he reinvested it back into the stock market right after 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
And made a lot of money off of that. And he said that at the beginning of COVID, he took all of his excess ready, available, or whatever cash, and he invested it into the stock market, and he's already had a 40% increase.
Wow. I'm actually pretty hopeful.
So,
I own little bits of several different stocks, and I'm actually really hopeful.
well, I think
after the first of the
I
year.
think if you invest, investing in companies of your country, in efforts through that investing in that as an investment in self as well. And
Mhm.
so,
Yeah, definitely.
you know.
I have a couple of Canadian companies, but they're very specific stocks that I just have a few dollars in those just to watch them. Because I'm watching that industry.
Yep.
So it's not just,
Yeah, back in like the early 2000s, I used to play on the stock market, and I did okay. I did all right, but yeah, I mean, nothing to write home about. Jeff Bezos and I would never be friends, but I tried.
I just play. I'm just like the housewife playing with stocks.
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
I don't know. To me it was fun and interesting, but I really still didn't understand it.
So if you want your kids to learn about finances and how to deal with business and stuff, look up the game Profiteer on Google Play Store or your Apple Store. Or look up Gazillionaire online, because that's what it was called when I used to play it all the time. It's really good though, because it's a trading game, so it teaches you how to manage, so that when you fly from one planet to the next, and you trade, buy and sell commodities.
Oh, how interesting.
And so, of course, you have to keep your rocket ship fueled, you have to pay your crew, you have to, there's all these other things you have to do, but then you also have to research the commodities to figure out, okay, well, if I buy it here at this price and I fly to this planet, what's going to be, am I going to make money or lose money? Is this worth it? Is this a good investment? So it's very interesting, very fun game. Most of my kids played it. It's supposed to be written in such a way that you get almost a college education on finance.
Oh, that would be really
It's
cool.
really cool.
Without having to take like a test that makes you sweat bullets.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Anything else you want to add in today? Because I noticed we've been on for over an hour.
We have been on for over an hour. What do you got going on?
We have our plant swap
Yeah, starting tomorrow.
tomorrow. In fact, I've got to go and work on getting more plants into little pots and bringing them up. We'll be here Thursday, Friday, and Saturday with our plant swap. I know that I've got a couple of pothos, lots of mother-in-law tongue or snake plants. I've got some cactus. Just some other indoor-outdoor plants, and
I have some spider plants and some strawberry plants and some aloe, I know for sure.
mm-hmm.
So actually we have some aloe here at the office that we need
Yeah.
to divide up, because then we'll have 2 different kinds, actually no, 3 different kinds of aloe that we'll have. So,
Someone's knocking on the door again. Come in!
hi.
Hello, y'all need any water?
I thought you guys came last week.
I'm not even sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Actually, no. Because I think I still have 2,
The
but I've got
water
one
guy's
about
here.
ready to go.
Okay.
But no, well,
Right now you're good.
yeah, right now I'm good. Peace, love, and harmony. Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
Our water guy came.
That was really pretty cool.
That was kind of cool.
Because my receipt said it was the 17th. What is?
This is the 23rd.
Okay. We're
Okay.
cool. We're groovy. Life is good. We've got water.
We got water.
Lots of it.
Yeah. So what classes do you have coming up?
Oh, I had to change the Reiki 2 class.
Okay.
I had Reiki 2 scheduled for the 3rd of October. And I know that a lot of people had said, oh, I'm coming, but nobody's registered. You have to register by email, because I have to order your book and all of that kind of good stuff. So I've switched that to another date. To be truthful, I can't tell you what date it is. It is in October, because I'm going to do a wedding. I'm going to officiate at a wedding
Cool.
on the 3rd.
Cool.
So I switched that class so that I could accommodate the class and accommodate the wedding.
Nice. Nice. So we have, I don't know dates off the top of my head, but we have a reflexology class coming up, so you'll want to get on and check that out.
We have the Reiki certification or the energy healer certification classes. I think they want to start the 7th or the 8th.
Okay.
We have, what do you got going on tomorrow? There's something cool tomorrow
The
night.
Kintsugi class, which nobody has signed up for. So if you want to do it, I need you to sign up, because I have no idea how much materials to have available. So,
Hint, hint.
hint, hint. There's a link to buy tickets so that you can pay ahead of time.
And we can ensure that you have everything that you need.
That's right. I can ensure that there'll be things here for you to use if you don't sign up and
Register, enroll, register, take this class.
So I'm also doing a muscle testing class this next month, and so to teach you how to muscle test, we're doing a encapsulation class, because I know for some people feel kind of intimidated about making their own capsules, and
That's cool.
filling capsules. So that class, I am not buying supplies for you to take home, but I'm going to have them here for you to buy, because I feel like that if I give everybody an encapsulation machine, some people are going to be like all about it and others aren't. So I decided that I'm just going to order a couple of extras. So if you really, really want an encapsulation machine, let me know, and I'll make sure that I have one for you. So,
Very cool. I didn't know that there was a machine for it. That's really cool. I've been doing that crap all by hand.
yeah, there's a machine where you can, it's all manual, but you can fill about 24 at a time, I think is what it is.
Do you know how that just makes me feel when I used to do them one at a time by my freaking self? And I'm like, I didn't know that there was a little machine.
But you still have to take the capsules apart, and you still have to place them all in the machine.
I'm cool with that.
But then filling them is super easy.
Yeah, and then
Once
they
you have them
all
placed.
encapsulate at one time.
That's right.
Yeah, so yeah.
So we're gonna do that. So we'll probably, I don't know, I'll come up with something that will encapsulate. So you will take capsules home with you. I'm just not providing the machines for everybody. So.
Okay. So watch for us on any one of our business pages.
Any
We've
one
got
of our
so
businesses,
many.
So many of them, and you can pick one.
Yeah,
You'll
we've
find
got
out
many of
what's
them, and
going on.
it'll have those ads up there. So.
Yeah. So
All right, without further ado,
this
because
will be on here forever.
I know, and I'm like wickedly thirsty. So peace, love,
And harmony.
yeah, good.
Peace, love,
love, and harmony. I was trying to peace, harmony, love. I don't know.
Or peace, love, and happiness.
Same thing.
Same thing.
I'll see y'all later.